So I've made a few viral art related videos so far, and in most of them I've mentioned my secret technique on how to improve your art from this to this in just 1 month. And I don't gatekeep, so technique at the top of the video. Write this down. Get a sketchbook. It must be at least A4 or 8.5 by 11 and 110 pages. It'll cost you anywhere from $7 to $13 or even cheaper if you're crafty. I personally get hardcover so I can throw it in my bag because the important part of the exercise is this. You take the sketchbook with you everywhere and you fill it in 1 month. That is a simple, easy instruction and it will get you the results that you want. And to prove to you that it was easy, I decided to try this exercise myself. And I failed. I failed really badly, and it was embarrassing and demoralizing, and my artistic confidence took a major hit because of it. But let's back up and see how we got here. I first heard about this exercise when I was a young artist on the internet around the DeviantArt days. I wasn't in art classes, but I wanted very badly to be an artist. And so that meant I spent a lot of time on the internet trying to learn how to learn, just like you. DeviantArt did not have that information for me, so eventually I found Animated Buzz, concept art forums, and the art critique board on 4chan. This was 2012, don't go there now. All of these websites had one thing in common. They were mean, and the way that only the early internet could be. And I was a bad artist, so I kept on getting the same critiques again and again and again. Draw more. It's not even worth critiquing you when you've barely started. And when I would ask them, how do I draw more? They would say the same thing every time. Fill a sketchbook in 1 month. I would learn later that this is an artist's axiom, that older generations and more experienced generations of artists pass down to younger artists to teach them the importance of pencil mileage. So eventually, after getting ripped apart countless times, I decided to just shut up and try. I got off the internet and I filled 6 sketchbooks in 6 months. Now, I did not see any improvement for the majority of that 6 months because this is not a miracle that we are working here. It is a muscle. But I still do remember my first big leap in skill. I was 19 years old, just graduated from university, living with my grandma and gambling on my future. I was not in any way an artist, but I really desperately wanted to be one, so I was drawing every day for hours a day for months. And suddenly, my hand outpaced my eye for the first time in my life. I was sitting on the bed with my tablet in my hand. I was making drawing after drawing, frustrated because nothing was coming out right. And then I drew something perfect. And of course I thought that was a fluke, so I drew something else, and that too was perfect. And I kept going and going and going, and all of the drawings that I made from that point on were good. And I remember thinking, oh, I think I can do this. Because when you put in the work, your work shows it. There's no other way. It's like practicing a piece of choreography or running a piece on piano again and again and again. Muscle memory allows for creativity. You have to work this into your bones. And I know that. I've lived that. So in April of this year, when I decided to try this sketchbook exercise again for the first time in almost a decade, I was confident, or cocky, I should say, because cocky means confidence that is undeserved. But the bottom line is I didn't finish. I gave up after 2 weeks, defeated, ego crushed. And the reason you didn't know that I was doing this exercise is because I didn't tell anyone I was doing it. Because I think that subconsciously I knew there was a chance I wasn't going to finish. An exercise like this is simple. But simple does not mean easy, and that's the mistake that I made. Sometimes simple things are the hardest things. Go to bed at the same time every day. Drink 8 glasses of water. Draw 7 pages in your sketchbook. These are very simple instructions and very hard to carry out. What happened is that I didn't prioritize this exercise because I thought it would be easy. And so I skipped a day. And then I skipped another day. And then I realized that no matter how good an artist you are, 7 pages of drawing takes hours. And now, instead of 7 pages, I had 21 pages of drawing to finish in a day, something that would have taken me half the day. And I could have made the time. I could have. But it was scary, and that became daunting. And every time that I tried to catch up, I felt embarrassed that I had even let it get this bad in the first place. Why did I think it would be easy? Why didn't I take it seriously? Did I really think that my art was so good that work wouldn't be work for me anymore? That's shame, by the way. Those are shame thoughts. So I failed quietly, and I didn't draw for a couple of weeks. But if there's one thing to know about me, I don't give up. And I don't mean the hustle grind set version of don't give up. I mean gently and respectfully. If you give yourself as many chances as you need to succeed, you will succeed. I don't give up on myself, and I learn from my mistakes, as embarrassing as they may be. And once my ego has healed, I tend to try again. So I went back to Blick and I got another A4, and I finished this one in 1 month and 4 days. I could have finished it in a month. I really could have. I was ahead of schedule actually, but I experienced some artistic self-sabotage that caused me to procrastinate due to my earlier failure. And that's okay, because I'm trying it again this month. And I bet you I finish it this time. So was this technically a failure, 1 month and 4 days? Yes, absolutely, undoubtedly. But it was also progress. And sometimes seeing progress like that pushes you forward. It's very encouraging. Look how close I got. I almost made it. I bet you if I just try one more time. And I bet you I do. So without further ado, here is the sketchbook. And what did I learn from making it? Well, I learned a lot about failure from this exercise, mainly that I used to be a lot more comfortable with it than I am now. I made this sketchbook in 2014. There was no posting culture back then. Artists did not make TikToks or Reels or posts on Instagram. And before you start, no, it wasn't better back then, it was just different. And accordingly, as a person who has now been posting my art for over 10 years, I think differently now too. You know, when you become a digital artist, or maybe if you work a lot on the computer, you will inevitably try to control Z in real life and you feel this tiny hit of something like shame, like but that happened to me a lot in Sketchbook 1. I kept trying to make pieces, finished things that I could post, and I could feel how that mindset was affecting my creativity and my brain and my art. In the animation world, executives look for something called toyeticism, and the definition is going to make a lot of you cringe. When something is toyetic, it means that that thing is likely to be made into a toy. That's why all modern Disney movies have that little animal companion. But in this exercise, I learned that I too am always looking for my own kind of toyeticism, post-eticism. How likely it is that every piece of art that I make can be posted so that it furthers my career. In Sketchbook 1, I felt that pull in everything that I did. I didn't want to explore. I wanted to stay in my comfort zone where I knew that I could make something nice. But that's not what a sketchbook is. A sketchbook is not a gallery wall. It is your thinking place. It's your growing place. And you may disagree with me, but I would classify Sketchbook 2 as ugly. I didn't scratch things out, but I did make ugly drawings and redraw them again and again. And I drew sleepy with sloppy lines because I was tired, but I still had a deadline to meet. And I'm really proud of these ugly drawings because it means that I tried something I wasn't capable of. And as an artist who isn't 19 and figuring things out anymore, I know how it feels to try something new. It feels scary, and it feels bad, and it feels embarrassing to be in your 30s and still making mistakes. But the truth is, I am still figuring things out. Myself, my process, what I want to make, and what I want to get better at. I'm coming to terms with the fact that I'll always be figuring it out. And that's okay. Georgia O'Keeffe did not paint her first large-scale flower painting until she was 38. A sketchbook is where you are supposed to fail. It's a captain's log of all the places that you fucked up. And Stephen King said that he kept his rejection slips on a nail on his wall until the slips got too heavy and he had to switch to a railroad spike. There is something beautiful about logging failures, about keeping a record. I love the archaeology of the self as a person, as a writer, as an artist, and I love looking back to see what failures I carried along with me. So if, like me, you have trouble keeping a sketchbook, then consider changing your mindset with me. It's not a place to make art. It's a place to explore the world and how you think of it so that you can make art. It's a place to test things out, especially things that you're scared to do elsewhere. I made my first watercolor in 13 years in my sketchbook this week. I knew that I didn't understand watercolor and that I'd be bad at it, so I never tried. But that mindset kept me in the exact same place for 13 years. Bad at watercolor. Was my first painting good? No. Was my second? No. Because like I said, this is not a miracle we're working here, it's a muscle. So I don't see my progress from drawing to drawing, or from page to page, or even from sketchbook 1 to sketchbook 2. But I don't need to see progress, because even if I were to never improve at watercolor, I'm doing something else by practicing watercolor. And that thing is breaking down my fear. To get better, you have to practice. But to practice, you have to break down the wall that stops you from trying. Maya Angelou said that creativity is like a faucet, and you have to keep it dripping. You show up every day and do shit work because the shit is the work. Quantity makes quality. The habit is the goal, and doing it scared means that one day you will stop being scared and the doing becomes easy. And when the doing is easy, then the work becomes easy. And when the work becomes easy, then you do it a lot. And in doing it a lot, improvement is inevitable. That's a life lesson. And it's one you can learn from any craft, as long as you love it enough to allow yourself to be bad at it. And even though I told you in this video and in this video and in this video that all you have to do is fill a sketchbook in a month, I know better now. I had become those artists that I told you about at the beginning of the video, the ones on the forums who told me to just draw more. But I had to become a student again, to learn how to learn. Just shut up and draw. I wonder if those artists still do the sketchbook exercise too, or if they, like me, just adopted the axiom and forgot what it meant. But I hope it's the first. Because even besides the acceptance of failure and gently trying again and persevering in a project until you reach the end, I think that as an artist, I learned something here that's even more important. Art requires humility. You'll never be finished as an artist. There's always more to learn. And that can be a daunting thought, but it doesn't have to be. Because the attempt is the success. The mistakes stack into something beautiful. There is no art without failure. This is my railroad spike. As always, high quality sketchbook scans are free for my Patreon members, and lately I've been posting 1 out of my 7 pages a day. Join me. You'll like it. Make a video and send it to me. Tell us how it goes. I'll see you in the next one.